Welcome to the Athena Wellness Podcast, the show that invites you to take a seat around the community fire and listen to stories that inspire. I'm your host, Kathy Robinson, author, coach, and founder of Athena Wellness, a company that's dedicated to supporting you on your journey to live more wholeheartedly. Hello, and welcome to episode 90. Thanks so much for joining me for this shortened Wellness Wednesday episode, a little midweek boost to help keep your warrior vibe high. Today I'm joined once again by artist and teacher Stephanie Weaver, who shares simple ways to add more beauty to your everyday life. And now on to the show. I hope you enjoy the conversation. So once again, I'm joined by artist and entrepreneur Stephanie Weaver. Welcome back, Stephanie. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So Stephanie, I think there are listeners who could certainly identify with wanting to create something or bring more beauty into their lives, but it may not be time for them to start painting. How might somebody add more beauty to their everyday life?
Well, it depends on kind of two areas. If you're wanting to physically create something, and it doesn't have to be painting. It can be, drawing. And drawing is as easy as picking up a piece of paper and a pencil. I think sometimes we all make it a little bit more complicated than it needs to be, but that's where it starts. So if you want to physically create something, paper and pencil. If you want to visually see something and be surrounded by beauty, I think all you really need to do is step outside in the woods and sit. I know a lot of times when I get really overwhelmed, I literally go outside, sit on the ground, and just put my hands on it. And then once I feel like I'm part of it, I'm part of the world and the beauty that is the world, then sometimes I'll just fall back and look at the sky like you did when you were a kid. And you start to see those clouds. And then you start imagining what the clouds are. And then suddenly you're just relaxed and you finally see the beauty of the world. And when I started painting, I actually started seeing more of the beauty in the world because I started seeing colors differently. I would drive down the road and I'm looking at all the trees and all the various shades of colors that they have. The world is actually really, really beautiful. All you got to do is step outside and just look.
I think that is very striking that you started to paint and it informed how you were taking in information. And so that's an interesting wellness practice of how can you take something that's right before your eyes and see it differently, almost doing like a little bit of a shape shift to say, okay, I'm holding up a coffee cup. This is a coffee cup. Well, what else could that be? What does it remind me of? Much like you do with the clouds, of kind of letting that go. And I wonder, when you paint, do you feel that same sort of, the image that's coming to my mind is almost like your defenses go down. Like there's a lowering of whatever it is that makes us functional in the world to open up to some of these things. Like, do you feel that opening when you create?
I love everything that you just said because yes, you do. You feel that. And I've never been able to convey what you just conveyed. It is an opening of like a removal of the veil that we all have on us. And then you suddenly see everything for what it is, not what you think it is.
Mm-hmm.
I taught these kids how to draw clouds and how to paint clouds. And I asked them, so what colors do you see in the clouds? And the little kids raising their hands, shooting up, all excited, white. And I was like, okay, well, let's take a look at some pictures. And I started showing them these pictures of all the clouds. What colors do you see? And then they started seeing the oranges and the yellows and the reds or the blues and the purples. It depended on the clouds. It depended on the environment that they were in. And removing removing the thinking and actually seeing, I think that veil and opening up. I love what you said. I'm going to have to listen to this again and write that. I love it.
And I think that that's great advice for our listeners as you're driving down the road and you're seeing the clouds, to think of Stephanie and what is it that you're really seeing? And then how does that come back and inform the day that you're experiencing? So thank you so much, Stephanie, for coming back and sharing that. And best of luck with your business. And I'll also include in this episode links to your socials and to your website. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me today. I know there are many ways you can spend your time. Thank you for choosing to spend it with me. Until our paths cross again, be kind to yourself and show your warrior spirit some love. If you know anyone who could benefit from today's episode, please pass it on. And many thanks for supporting the show by subscribing and leaving a review. It means a lot, and it helps others find their way to our circle. If you'd like to access the show notes, have a question you'd like addressed on a future episode, or would like a transcript of this episode, visit www.athenawellness.com/podcast. Until next time, be well.